The first tip on my first 10 tips for new drivers video was about that little arrow on your dashboard that indicates on what side of the vehicle the gas cap is. I've had a lot of comments saying that some vehicles don't have the little arrow, and it's true, although almost all cars nowadays in North America do have it. I've also had comments that in some other places, like in Europe for example, the hole is on the same side as the hose on the gas pump icon, or the side where the pump is located on the gas gauge, which are both true in this case, but not in this one, where the pump hose is on the right and the gas cap is on the left. While the little arrow always indicates where the gas cap is, the hose on the pump and the location of the pump don't necessarily. So here's what you can do if you don't have that little arrow. If you have a little lever to open the gas cap door, the lever is usually located on the floor to the left of the driver's seat. Open it before positioning yourself at the pump and look in your side mirrors. It'll usually flip open enough that you can see it in the mirror. Actually, just the fact that you do have that little lever is a pretty good indicator that the gas cap should be on the same side as the lever itself, since when you pull it, it's a cable that opens the gas cap door, and it will be complicated for car manufacturers to run the cable across to the other side. So the only true indicator in every situation is the little arrow. Besides that, it varies depending on different factors, but I did my own little survey, and what I noticed is that in most cases, American and European cars have the gas cap on the right side, and Asian cars have it on the left. Summers are getting hotter, and one option you should seriously consider when buying a vehicle is air conditioning. You might have seen this little icon on your dashboard and wonder what it does. It recirculates the air inside the vehicle, meaning that instead of letting the outside air in, it takes the air already inside the vehicle and recirculates it. So before you start driving on a hot day, open as many windows as possible, then drive a bit to let the air cool down inside the vehicle, half a minute or so, then close your windows, turn on your AC and put the switch on that position, or press the button depending on the vehicle. Leave it in that mode until the vehicle is at the desired temperature. This way, the vehicle will get cooler faster than if you start the AC with all your windows closed before you start to drive. Try to avoid using this mode on humid or cold days, as your windows will get foggy. There's a bit of confusion between speed indicators and photo radars. These things here are speed indicators. They only indicate at what speed you're driving, and sometimes they might indicate the speed of the vehicles in front or behind you, depending on where the laser is pointing. For example, in this case, it might be indicating the speed of the truck behind, which might be going faster than you since it's overtaking. But you might think that it's your speed, since you still see the panel in front of you. So these panels are just indicators. This one is a photo radar. Photo radars are usually indicated in advance by some panels like this one or this one. So if you go over the speed limit while passing one of these, you'll probably get a fine by mail. I'll discuss both these and other stuff in more detail in a future video about speed. The icon for the windshield washer looks like this, and the reservoir is usually located in front on either side. In this case, the right side of the vehicle. Here's a little tip: when you pour windshield washer, lay the bottle on its side horizontally. If you keep it in a vertical position, it'll be harder to pour the fluid without splashing, since the airflow into the bottle will be blocked by the fluid, causing it to splash. By laying it down horizontally, we leave some room for the air to enter the bottle, so it'll be easier to pour. By the way, a bottle of windshield washer is something that you should have in your vehicle at all times. Parking seems to be a phobia for a lot of new drivers. A comment I get a lot from my students is, when I'll have my vehicle, I'll just go park where there is nobody. Although I of course recommend you learn how to park properly, parking where there is nobody is actually not a bad idea. First, some people turn around in circles for, let's say, 3 minutes, looking for a parking spot closer to the entrance, while they could have just parked 30 seconds further where there's nobody and walked another 30 seconds. That's still 2 minutes saved. Second, you're less prone to have someone open their door on your vehicle and scratch it. And third, walking is healthy. If you see some fluid stains under your vehicle, you can sometimes identify what kind of fluid they are by their tint. Brownish is usually engine oil, pinkish red is transmission fluid, on an automatic transmission vehicle that is, greenish is antifreeze, and if it's in the back of the vehicle and it smells like gas, well, it's gas. Now don't panic if you see those leaks in a public place where you park frequently. That could be from any other vehicle that also parked there. But if you see them on your driveway, it most likely is from your vehicle. So to find out, check under the vehicle. But laying down under a vehicle is not the most comfortable experience. The best way of looking under your vehicle is to put it on a lift, but I seriously doubt you have one at home. So the tip here is to use a selfie stick with your phone. I recommend protecting your phone with some plastic wrap in case the car is leaking, or if you have an action camera, you could use that with the waterproof casing. And since it's dark in there, you can either use the flashlight app on your phone if it has one, and if not, you can put one of those lights that you can buy at the dollar store under your vehicle. Then you can start recording the video, moving your phone to make sure you film the whole thing, and later you can watch it comfortably. I'll make a more detailed video on how to check your fluids in the future, but for now, here's a little tip. When you're done adding oil to your engine, the first thing you should do is to screw the cap back on right away. If you do anything before that, like cleaning your hands for example, or dispose of the bottle, you might forget to put it back. And that will lead to the oil splashing under the hood when you're driving, which will cause a smoky mess and some potentially very expensive repairs. You can also put the cap in front of your car door, for example, on the driver's side of course. That way, you'll see it before getting in the car. Side note, the best way to pour oil into your engine is to use a funnel. But if you don't have one, the tip we saw earlier for the windshield washer also applies here. Same principle. Pour the oil while holding the bottle in an horizontal position. Talking about engine oil, you should get it changed at about every 5,000 to 15,000 kilometers, depending on the type of oil you use. If you get it done in a garage, something else that you could do while you're there is to ask the mechanic to rotate your tires, meaning that the rear tires will be transferred to the front and vice versa. The reason for this is that the front tires wear out faster, and for two main reasons. The wheels in front are the ones that turn, so the tires are subject to more friction, and second, since mechanical parts like the engine and transmission are in front in most vehicles, there's more weight on the front tires, so they wear out more quickly. By rotating the tires regularly, you'll improve safety and tire longevity. Now this was just a simple illustration. There are certain patterns you'll need to respect depending on the type of vehicle or tires. Your mechanic should take care of that, but if you do it yourself, get some info on that. Now you'll probably find this last tip funny, until it happens to you, if it ever does, which I don't wish you. But it did happen to one of my friends once, and we were far from home. If you ever need to get your keys out of your pocket next to a manhole like this one, if you drop them, it might get a little complicated to get back home. So the trick here is to insert your finger on the key fob ring, if your key fob has one. That way, even if you make a false move, the keys will stay attached to your hands. Same goes for your wallet or phone. Try not to get them out of your pocket when you're near the manhole. Of course, if you have a keyless ignition, that's less of a problem. Most of the time, you don't even have to take your key fob out of your pocket. As long as you have it on yourself, as soon as you touch the door handle or press the button, the door unlocks. I hope you like this video. Thanks for watching.